What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog. Got another sweet deck for you guys. This one we're looking at a Abzan Nightmare Tribal list. So obviously in Ikoria we've got a ton of new cards, and a lot of them are nightmares, and a lot of those nightmare creatures are actually pretty sweet. And been wanting to build a Nightmare Tribal deck since the previous set came out, but it was just not very good. But this set seems like it had a lot of nice new tools. And so there's kind of a Mutate sub-theme as well. So this is mostly new cards here, actually. So starting at our top end here, we got Nethroi, Apex of Death, 2 white, black, and green. It's Abzan. 5/5 Death Touch Lifelink for a cat Nightmare Beast. Pretty sweet type there. And you can mutate it for 7 mana, so it's pretty steep. But then when it mutates, you return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's just like a fantastic way to get all your creatures back in the late game and just kind of take over the game. We're also running the new Vivien Monsters Advocate, 3 green for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. You can always look at the top card of your library, and if it's a creature spell, you can cast that. Of course, you can only do that at normal restrictions, so only on your turn. However, you can +1 to make a 3/3 beast token, and you can choose to give it a vigilance, reach, or trample counter, so that's pretty sweet. Another way to kind of add board presence. And the beast creature type is relevant with kind of what we're trying to do here. You'll see here in a little bit. Obviously, we are focused on nightmares, but there's still some other synergy that you will see. And -2, we can, when we cast our next creature spell, search our library for a creature card with lesser converted mana cost and put it onto the battlefield. So Vivien, just a fantastic way to add board presence. We're very creature heavy in our Nightmare Tribal deck. So yeah, Vivien should be a fun card to play around with. I haven't actually used her too much, but should be pretty sweet. Doom Whisperer, of course, is a Nightmare Demon. 5 mana for a 6/6 flying trample, and then you can pay 2 life to surveil, so it's a nice sort of form of card advantage. We have a little bit of life gain in here, so we can should be able to afford to surveil a little bit to kind of dig for those little bit of spells we need to close out games, whether it's removal or additional creatures or a Vivien, whatever the case may be at that point. Also we have Boneyard Lurker. It's a 4/4 for 4 Nightmare Beast, and you can mutate it for 4, and when it mutates, you get to return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. That's any of your creatures, or you can bring back your Vivien, so that's pretty sweet. Also running Insatiable Hemophage. It's a 4 mana 3/3 Nightmare with Death Touch, so it's decent. However, we're going to be looking to kind of abuse the mutate here with the mutate cost is only 3, so when it mutates, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. So obviously you have to do this multiple times on the same creature to really get some value. But if you do this right, it actually works pretty well. So yeah, and just being able to mutate some of your early creatures is pretty fantastic. We also have a Dirge Bat. I like to run more of these, obviously, because this is just a fantastic card. But we are Nightmare Tribal, and this is just a bat. So we're just going to run a couple of them here as additional kind of creature and removal. It's a 4 mana 3/3 flyer with flash, so that's pretty sweet. The mutate cost is 6, that's pretty steep. However, when you mutate it, you can destroy a creature or planeswalker on your opponent's side of the board. You can just play this down as a 4 mana 3/3 flyer, and then you can just mutate on top of it, and that will still trigger a mutate to destroy a creature or a planeswalker on your opponent's side. So that's typically how you're going to do that. So you don't necessarily want to be paying that 6 mana because that is pretty expensive. And here we have Kaheera, the Orphanguard. It's 1 and then green or white for a 3/2 cat beast with vigilance, so it is not a nightmare. However, each other creature you control that's a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast gets +1/+1 and has vigilance. So everything else we have in here that's not a nightmare is either a cat or a beast. So that's pretty much everything is going to get a +1/+1 and a vigilance. So it is 3/2 for 3. You can ignore the companion side. We're not using that in that respect, but basically it's just a creature lord of those particular types, so it's pretty cool. Leyline Prowler is a 2/3 Death Touch Lifelinker that we can also tap for 1 mana of any color. Since we are pretty mid-range heavy, just that little bit of ramp can be nice sometimes. Otherwise, mostly just trying to play out on curve. And the Death Touch, of course, is a way to kind of slow down your opponent's attack. And the lifelink as well to kind of get some life back as well from any early aggression. And also got a couple copies of Necropanther. Here's a Cat Nightmare, so that's pretty cool. 3/3 for 3, which is, it's okay. However, you can mutate it for 4, and when it mutates, you return a creature card with mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, mutating for 4 mana to put add a 3/3 onto the battlefield and trigger mutate potentially multiple times and get one of your 1 or 2 drops back, 1, 2, or 3 drops back is a pretty sweet deal. We also got a Grimdancer. It's a 3/3 for 3, 1 black for a Nightmare. When it enters the battlefield, you get to choose 2 counters among Menace, Death Touch, and Lifelink. So that's a pretty sweet ability. Most of the time, you're probably going to be choosing Menace or Lifelink, unless your opponent has like bigger creatures. Then you're going to be definitely looking at that Death Touch thing, so it's going to make it hard for them to attack into you. Then you just block it with Grimdancer, and the Death Touch will kill it. And here we have Essence Symbiote. It's another new creature here. 1 in green, you get a 2/2 Beast, so synergizes with our Kaheera. And whenever a creature you control mutates, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature, and you gain 2 life. So it doesn't have to be you don't have to mutate onto this creature. Just anytime this is out on the board and you mutate anything else, you get this you get that ability to put a +1/+1 counter on, and you get a little bit of life back. And Heartless Act, just a fantastic new removal spell. Instant speed, you can destroy a creature with no counters on it, or you can remove up to 3 counters from target creature. So you can kind of remove counters as like a combat trick. Most of the time you want to be trying to kill creatures with it, but obviously there are a lot of counters in the new set, so you could come across that. So it's not always going to work as well as you want it to, but just generally speaking in the current standard, it's going to be still a fantastic rate for 2 mana. And Zagoth Mamba is a 1/1 Nightmare Snake for 1 mana. And when this creature mutates, target creature and opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. So this is kind of a nice little bit of removal spell for any cheaper creatures that are running around out there. Or you can do this before combat, and then your opponent's bigger creatures are nerfed a little bit, and you can attack it more favorably, makes it hard for them to block. And finally, we have Light of Hope, another new card here. Instant speed, you can gain 4 life, destroy an enchantment, or put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So this is fantastic against mono red, obviously. We can destroy Annex, we can destroy Fires of Enchantment, we can gain life, and if your opponent goes to shock one of your creatures, you can put a +1/+1 counter on it, put out a burn range, things like that. A lot of our Nightmares are kind of understated because they have other different abilities going on. So being able to put +1/+1 counters on them is pretty sweet. And of course, Kaheera, giving them the +1/+1 and Vigilance is pretty fantastic as well. So that's pretty much the deck. And what do we got? 24 lands, so we could have a little bit of ramp and things like that with the Leyline Prowler. We also have the Castle Locthwain to kind of help us draw cards as well. So 1 plains, 1 Castle Locthwain. Pretty black heavy, so 4 swamps, 2 forests, and then of course all the shock lands. Running 2 of the tricycle lands, the Indatha Triome, so we can tap for any of our colors, and then 2 Fabled Passage for some additional fixing. And going over our sideboard real quick, we got 3 Agonizing Remorse for that sweet hand disruption. 2 Easy Prey. Since we are firmly in mid-rangey, we do need some additional interaction against the more aggressive decks. And this is just pretty sweet, as we can destroy a creature with mana cost 2 or less, or if we've already used up our removal and your opponent's kind of running dry, or we're not too worried about the creature they have out, we can just cycle it away to find something else. And if we need some exile removal, we've got a couple copies of Banishing Light. And Mythos of Nethroi. This is a really sweet new card. Instant speed, for 3 mana, you can destroy a creature, or if you spend black, green, and white, you can destroy any non-land permanent. So that's fantastic at instant speed for 3 mana. And we also got a couple copies of Luminous Broodmoth, another one of the new cards. For 2 white, you get a 3/4 flying insect. And whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. So none of our Nightmares, except for the Nightmare Demon, have flying. So we'll be able to, it's kind of a board wipe protection, so if we're playing against Shatter the Skies and things like that, Mothra will kind of help us regain our board state, and then everything comes back with flying. Also works well against if our opponent is very any kind of removal heavy, like targeted removal as well, because anytime they kill something, you just get it back with a flying counter on it, so they come back even better. And Gemrazer, it's a beast, so it synergizes with what we're trying to do, and it's a 4/4 with reach and trample, and you can mutate it to destroy an artifact or enchantment on your opponent's. That's pretty sweet. So that's going to be our artifact and enchantment removal. And of course, we also have the Mythos of Nethroi or Banishing Light to deal with those cards as well. And finally here we've got a couple of copies of Vraska, as she's kind of way to deal with any low-cost permanents like 3-mana Planeswalkers and things like that. And then she can also be used for the +2 for card advantage. You know, once we get up to 6 mana, we don't really need any more land, so if we kind of start flooding out a little bit, we can sack those to Vraska pretty easily. We do have the Cat Nightmare that can bring stuff back. We have the Boneyard Lurker that can bring stuff back, so we don't necessarily mind sacrificing other things on board. This is one of those cards you could probably maybe slot something else in. Still kind of a work in progress, but I think Vraska is probably worth looking at, but it is a flex spot where you could probably maybe look at something else there as well. Alright, so jump into some best of 3 with our Abzan Nightmare list and see how we do today. Hope you guys are enjoying the new set. Seems pretty fun to me. Of course, the first couple weeks is always kind of like the Wild West. We're just doing a bunch of random stuff. Alright. Hand's not great, but we are on the draw, and any land in our first 3 draws, and we're good to go. We have a turn 1 play at least. Mountain, say go. Then play our 1/1, see if they have a shock. And they do. There's going to be Temple Garden on next turn, and then Leyline Prowler on turn 3. See if they're just mono red, or if they're on Is It or something. Okay, Is It. Found another one. Let's play it out. Okay, no shocks this time. Tap out. We could also Hemophage too, just to make it bigger. Like if they play Electromancer or something. But no, we're just going to say go. Well, let's attack for 1, see what they got. Nothing. Okay. Let's go ahead and drop our Leyline Prowler. And here's a spot we might just Nethroi, just get a 5/5 down. Tricky for these decks to deal with. Okay, so Torbran in a Is It shell. Alright. I think we just mutate here. Over, so we make it a 3/3. Torbran doesn't deal any damage now. And we just attack in for 5 and gain a couple life. I think I saw, who was it, MTG Jeff that ran a Is That list that was based around Torbran. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. Well, the memes are working for them today. Warden. Okay. You're running Torbran, and then this random flyer. We don't have enough to Kaheera and Mutate, so I think we just Nethroi. Just having a 5/5 Deathlike Lifelink seems reasonable. Of course, Torbran makes all their burn spells so much better, so we could just get blown out here. Cloud Piercer on Torbran. Just gonna hold it back, sure. Let's mutate. Say under. And bring back the Leyline Prowler. Just bring everything back. No attacks. Cloud Piercer Torbran thing can kill us. Well, maybe it's worth it though. Like to set up for next turn though. Have some pretty sweet cards. Okay. Well, that's pretty cute. Let's get to draw a card and then tap it to ping, what is it, any target? Don't know how to read these. There's somebody look at everything that's here. There we go. Tap to deal X damage to any target. So it's mutated twice. They can deal 2 damage, and Torbrand does an extra 2, so they can deal 4 damage to any target right now. Seems pretty good. They can do that at instant speed. Didn't want to hit a land there, but I think we'll run our 1/1 out there first. See if that baits any response. Go ahead and mutate. See if that gets a response. We'll destroy that so we don't get mutate, but we do get a 3/3 Death Toucher. And we have favorable attacks. I'm going to gain 5 life here and 2 life here. Whatever they block with the Warden dies. I don't know what the Warden is here, if they're just mutating these creatures. And Torbrand, they're running some kind of a flyer here that makes this worthwhile. Well, as a 3-mana 2/2 flyer isn't really great. Like they have some interesting stuff going on, but it seems a little feels a little bit unfocused. Are they dead here? A labyrinth. Okay. Play it out and see what they want to destroy with the Cloud Piercer. We'll have to tap it, so then they're going to be taking. Pretty sure this is lethal. Don't think they can survive this. They have some kind of trick up their sleeve. Block there and destroy, deal what, 2 damage to Kaheera or something? That's kind of interesting. Just mutating Torbrand and just trying to leverage that for value. Alright, so definitely need to deal with that. Wow. So definitely need anything that deals with Torbrand. Gain life, but I think that's pretty medium. Didn't see any enchantments, and the 1/1 counter doesn't really do enough with Torbrand, so. And it's a 4-drop, so Vraska doesn't kill it. Vivien feels pretty vulnerable, so yeah, let's try it like this. Let's try as much removal. If we can deal with Torbrand, then we should be able to handle this. Torbrand is such a busted card. But they're not playing mono red, so hey, that's cool. That's pretty clever with the mutate mechanics as well. So I don't know what the Warden of the Evos Isle is there for. But there are some flyers that mutate, I guess. There's the Heron that mutates for, I think, 4 mana, and then you draw a card, and that creature has flying, so that's pretty cool. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head though. Alright, let's see if we can keep Torbrand in check here, or see what other tricks they have up their sleeve. I'm kind of curious. Hand's pretty slow, but I do like the removal, and we've got the life gain, so I think we'll keep it. Plus, if we draw into a land here, then should be in good shape. Otherwise, we just go Fabled Passage Swamp. And go from there. There's an Electromancer. Definitely a problem as well. Seems like the deck is pretty firmly trying to do two different things here. We have additional removal in hand, so yeah, just get that off the board so they don't get the cost reduction on their spells. Cloudkins here. Try for this. Currently don't have any ways to mutate, and we need lands. Our opponent's curving out just fine, so this can be a short game. Mutate onto the Cloudkins here. Okay, that's pretty cool. Probably just a good target to Heartless Act. Struggling with the land drops here. Kind of the danger with Mutate is then your opponent kills one creature and you lose both of yours. Upside and downside to it. League Guildmage. Double League Guildmage, okay. And we are still missing the lands. So just got our creature down, say go. Definitely need some help here. Our opponent's kind of running dry. Castle Vantress can help scry them back into this though. But if we keep missing land drops, then we're not really much we can do. But for being stuck on two lands, we've done alright. Just Heartless Act is such a good card. Downside of mutation. Wow, still no lands. No reason to attack. We're just gonna keep drawing cards or scrying here. And we're stuck on two creatures, two lands. They can easily kill our creatures with shocks. If we get another land, it's gonna be too late unless they just flood out or something. We'll give it a couple more draws. Torbrand. So if we miss a land drop here, then we will concede. Alright. Can't really play if you don't have the lands, so try it again. 2 in our opening hand and just drew nothing but spells. That happens. Alright. And we do have the removal, so yeah, we'll keep it. Temple Garden into Swamp, and then we'll just hold up Heartless Act. And we have all of our lands for the Mythos to destroy anything we want. So that's pretty cool. Although they don't have any, haven't shown any enchantments or artifacts, so just gonna destroy creatures anyway. But just generally speaking, this is just fantastic having that flexibility. Play a creature here, so we can Heartless Act. I'll probably just play the Panther here, just to have just get some board presence going. And next turn we'll just play our tap land and then hold up removal. It's not a terrible spot to be in. Still don't know if I understand what the Warden is for. Let's go and put some pressure on them. Boneyard Lurker can get back our Orphanguard if that's what they target with their removal. And if we draw a land for the Doom Whisperer, that'll be pretty sweet. Warden to Warden is pretty good, leaving red open. Do they have a shock? Wow, going in. Okay, we did find a land. We can kill both things here. It's not terrible. There's not any point to mutate. We just kill this and get in for 7. Maybe we shock here, just to leave the Mythos open. So if we do curve out to Torbrand, we have the removal, and then we can kind of leverage these guys. Okay, just as Cloudkin. See if they try to attack again. Nope. I definitely want to play out our Doom Whisperer next turn. I think we just hold the Mythos. And Mamba can kill one of their flyers, though. That's pretty good. We don't really get anything back, though. The graveyard's empty. Okay. Our opponent's feeling a little frisky here. Let's go for the Mamba play. Over. Take out the one that gives the cost reduction. Attack for 4. Alright. Sweet. So yeah, a lot of fun things you can do with Mutate. But yeah, there obviously are some dangers to it. Pretty interesting deck from our opponent. The Torbrand with mutating onto him is obviously pretty scary. Yeah, so definitely a lot of fun things you guys can do with the new cards. Let me know what you guys are running down in the comments below. And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.